for at least an hour, walking him through the process, somewhat. But again, I always feel like if they have the visual and I'm able to explain it to them, it
Right.
would just be easier for them, especially when it comes to the inspection. And, I didn't even talk about, he's just getting his FHA approval now. So I just wanted to give him like just the visuals and then walk him through. So then, this is what happened. This is the process. Just so
Yeah.
as we're going, it's like, okay, we did the inspection. I was explaining about the due diligence and the earnest money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you usually send them? Because I know when I was with Tracy, we always did like, when we met with them, we'd give them the cost. This is the closing costs, which we're going to try to get the seller to pay. You've got your earnest money, inspection, appraisal, and then your closing. Your down payment. Do you
Yeah.
usually send it to him visually so he knows? Because now he's talking about, he's been approved for 200,000, but he's like, I really want to look at houses that are more like the 180. So then I had to go through the whole spiel where it's like, in that price range, it's very hard to find properties in certain areas because, these investors are paying cash. And of course, the seller's going to take the cash offer versus, a
Yeah.
financed offer. So I was giving him all that. So I just wanted him to kind of see the actual cost involved with doing it.
Yeah, but remember, I would always do that in tandem with the lender. So the lender would
Okay.
say, here's the worksheet for the type of loan you're going to obtain at 200, and here's the worksheet for the type of loan you might obtain at 180.
Okay.
How do you feel about these monthly expenses? And
Okay.
here's the amount, let's say it's $5,500 in closing cost. Ideally, we would get the seller to pay as much of this as possible, but understand that if you don't get this paid for as a function of the contract, and you may have to lower those numbers because you're competing with investors, then you have to come to the table with that cash too, or roll it into your mortgage with a higher interest rate.
Okay. Okay.
Right. All right. Got a couple others joining us. How's everyone doing?
Good.
How was the appraisal session today? I didn't get a chance to attend.
It was a good class.
It was good?
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. What was your favorite part? What was the biggest takeaway?
I think that, just going back and actually just remembering all the different steps and how they do the evaluation and really understanding. It was one thing that came on there today that I never thought about. There are some additional initials that they put behind square footage, and I have it in my notes, and right now I'm trying to do 12 things at one time. And I just forgot what it is.
It's
like
WO for walkout.
Right, thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, WO for walkout.
Walkout, right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, wait a minute, I'm having
what's walkout square footage?
Yeah.
Right, because I never thought about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Walkout square footage would be like if you have a room in the basement that has above ground that has a walkout access.
Yeah.
Right.
They count that. But if it's square footage that backs up to like the front side of the house, for example.
Right. It was just how they calculated the square footage on the basement that actually has accessibility in the ground.
Okay. So were they given full credit for that space?
No, it was adjusted.
Oh, gotcha. But it was adjusted at a different rate than non-walkout footage.
I guess so.
Gotcha. Okay. So just a quick reminder while I got a captive audience. If you have not, I think everyone on the call has officially signed papers, but if you have not, please take care of that for me. And I believe everyone on the call is also up to date on the metrics, but if you are not, please let me know. And if you join the program sometime in April, just put, like for example, I think Martha, you officially joined the program like sometime in the middle of the third week. So just put for that third week, whatever the numbers are, however big or small they happen to be, okay?
Okay.
Which I think you actually did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and prior to that, you were not part of the program, so I can just put in zeros for that. Okay, guys, we're doing pretty good. I appreciate you guys are working hard. You guys are getting the buyer agreements and the listing agreements, so and putting some deals under contract. How are we feeling? I got to tell you, I just left the house and went to the grocery store for the first time in a little over a week. It's tough out there. Everyone's wearing a mask and staying away from each other, and no one's smiling, or you can't tell. How are we doing? How's our energy? How's our spirits? We hanging in there?
This is Martha. I'm doing well. I mean, I'm just staying in when I can, and like I said, I've got those 2 showings tomorrow, and he's kind of been out and about. He's essential, so he's been out and about doing his thing. So I think I'm going to have to educate him a little bit before we go into the first house about, it's not really, if you decide not to wear a mask, this is about going into a seller's house and what they require versus, some people are kind of in the mindset where it's about them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to explain to him that, there are people living in both of these houses, so we have to respect what they would like. I'm wearing a mask, of course, and bringing some wipes.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Should I talk to the agent? If the agent doesn't have any special instructions, should I just assume and then do what I would normally do? Well, with precautions.
I would err certainly on the side of additional protections. So if it was me, I'd probably say, hey, we got to wear a mask. This is something we got to do. And if they say, I don't want to do that, I think you could. I don't think there's any issue with you saying, hey, this is a requirement of the seller. Or you could even blame it on the brokerage. Like, I don't think this is time to mess around.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a growth group. So the idea here is the participants are about 11 units or more per year. So first off, congratulations for being on the invite list. I want to make sure, I can't see anyone. You guys are making me lonely here. I want to make sure that I'm delivering content that is most relevant to you guys where you are in the business right now. What type of higher level discussions would benefit you at this moment? This is the purpose here, the goal. I can lead the discussion certainly, but the idea is to get kind of our top producing peers together and do some celebrating, do some resolving of problems, challenges, share ideas with one another, that kind of thing. What are we doing that's really working well right now?
Well, I'm just recontacting everybody that I've talked to. As you know, I have a lot of investors,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm staying in touch with all of the ones that, were actively looking, kind of fell off. I've moved on, helped somebody else. So I'm coming back around and revisiting them, asking for referrals from the ones that are really active. Asking them to keep me top of mind. I'm thinking outside the box. Talked to a wholesaler this morning that, oh, by the way, went under contract on a deal this morning.
Nice.
My buyer, one of my investors. So, it's not a whole lot of money, but at the closing table, I'll get him to sign a listing agreement as well.
Nice. So like what type of deal, like what's the general kind of feeling from the investor group? Are they like waiting for this thing to fall apart? Do they are they they feel pretty good about buying right now? What is their general consensus in your opinion?
They're excited. They're way more excited. But the problem that's going on right now, especially in Fulton County, is that the government shut down, so nobody can get permits or inspections. And you may be able to get some of your permits online, but there's nobody to do inspections. And when there are inspections, you're waiting. So if you've got a hard money loan, that's burning up money, just sitting around waiting. So once cash are very excited because those types of properties, the prices are starting to drop like a rock.
They are expecting prices to drop like a rock?
Yes.
Okay.
For the
So does that mean they're hanging on and they're saying, hey, let's wait 2 months and see what happens?
Yeah, yeah. The ones that have cash, they're sitting back just waiting.
Yeah, that's what I was finding out too. I have one that I was trying to send them some property and they're like, nah, I'll just wait. It's gonna fall. So I have to agree. Who's Galaxy?
Oh, that's Jan. She's on twice.
Jan. Oh, congratulations, Jan, on your deal.
Oh, thank you. I need to get a camera and microphone for my computer. So sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Well, you have a Zoom account, right, Jan?
Oh, yeah. I have one.
He's giving you the thinker.
Are you sure?
He doesn't want us to see her.
Her beautiful face. That's
Your clients are going to want to see you now.
Well,
Just tell me when it's going to get done.
Let's not even go there, Bill. I bought a camera and a tripod. I just have to have the time to figure out how to use it.
All right. Okay. We're going to get to see Jan's face next week.
Yay.
Come on.
Okay.
This is how bad it's looking in here.
Looking great.
You look good.
Looking great.
You also get to see my landing lights. So.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
You look good.
Yeah, you're good.
So congratulations on the deal. I think a good phrase, you're probably using something similar to this is, look, I'm with buyers and sellers all the time and I'm seeing opportunities all the time. If I was, how would I be able to recognize what you consider to be a good deal, right? As I'm looking through hundreds of properties every week and I see something, how would I know that it's the right fit for you?
Well, here's what I've been doing is my calls go somewhat like this. Hey, Bill, it's Janet McCarty. We talked about 6 months ago, and I'm just following up with all my investors to see who's buying, holding, selling, where you stand in this market. Are you still buying? Because I am out every day looking at properties. I have a whole list of wholesalers who have properties. So, what's going on in your world and how can I help you?
Right. So you want to role play for a second?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, Jan, thanks for calling. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a wholesale opportunity where I can make about 10 grand very quick. I want you to find me the property and then I want to reassign it to somebody else and make 10 grand at the closing table. Sell it, buy it and sell it the same day. Do you do stuff like that?
I'm having trouble with that because I've got a deal like that kind of going on right now. That's the one I put under contract. It's the opposite way. My buyer found the house, but he was already, he's working with me. So it is an assignment, but it's going the other way. So it's not my client wanting to assign a property.
Oh, it's your client that's paying the profit of the flipper.
Yes. The
wholesaler. Okay. Well,
I'll him a property.
Boy, if you can get in that world where you can be involved in those types of transactions and get paid, I would love to get introductions to people like that. I'd take every one of them out for a virtual coffee and see how can I learn from you.
Well, here I don't understand how to do it the opposite way, where the wholesalers are my clients. Because my clients are getting approached by wholesalers all day. And I have that down pat because, there's only so much profit in those deals before the flippers can't make money. But I'm not working for free. So during my buyer consultation, I explained to them that the seller, I try very hard to get the seller to pay my commissions. But if not, they have to pay me a commission. And generally those deals are around $100,000, give or take. So my minimum commission is $3,000.
Right.
So that way I know that I get paid $3,000 on every one of those deals that I facilitate. Because I work really hard on them, and sometimes it takes me months to get somebody under contract.
You ain't got to defend your money to me.
But one of the stipulations is that I get the listing on the backside. So at the closing table, they have to sign the listing agreement too.
Yeah. 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 So I was just saying, because I mean, I want to learn more just personally about how that all works and kind of get in that world a little bit and meet some people that are really successful. So I would, you know, I would really do some networking with some of your competition if possible, just to learn about how you can service more people and obviously get paid. If there's no money in it, there's no sense in spending time on it.
Well, what I don't understand is if they want to wholesale, how I can still get paid, because they're not realtors. And so I think it's kind of a fine line for me, and I don't know how that all works. So if you can help me with that, that would be great, because I
Well,
couldn't put deals together.
Oh, I was saying, like, I'm sure there's like Facebook groups and YouTube
that,
channels and all kinds of stuff that describes kind of how the logistics work. I'm sure we could both learn quite a bit from that. Has anyone else done anything like that?
because one of the things that I was just thinking, that one of the things on those deals is where the numbers are so tight. If your relationship is not really strong with that buyer or whoever's wholesaling it, where they're willing, because they're so greedy, you don't make the money. And sometimes you calculate your dollar per hour, you come out to be making minimum wage. So
Right.
I understand why you want to end, because I've had people to, oh, well, no, you $3,000 what you want to make, but I only want to pay you $1,000. Well, if I've already put in, a zillion hours, I'm not making any money. So it's a hard.
How you do that deal is, and you have a buyer consultation with them. You tell them what you do for them. You explain that you could put 100 hours into a $100,000 deal for them. So, and the other piece of that is you let them know that they have to be faithful to you. If they're going to have 2 or 3 other.
I understand. I've done this. I've been doing this for 29 years. Believe me, I understand the process with them. I'm just saying that what happens is that sometimes it's not, if you can't get them to go ahead and do a referral fee commitment as a commission on some of those deals. I mean, and the fact that you're saying you're going to get them to sign a listing, but on that other end, at least have them said, well, this is my referral fee. I'll look all day if I can make this every transaction.
So it's written into the buyer broker agreement. It is part of my buyer broker agreement that's what they agree to pay me. And they also have to agree to work with me solely, not 4 or 5 other realtors. Because I'm not wasting my time on those people, because they're my time wasters. I only want to work with serious people, and if they're not willing to sign and commit up front, then they're a time waster. They're just sucking up my resources. I'm paying, and Bill taught me this, I'm paying my hard-earned money for them.
Oh my gosh, the student has become the teacher. This is amazing.
Right?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
I never did like working with investors that much, because
I know I don't.
I never quite understood why somebody, like very early on in my career, somebody said, well, I want a deal with between $70,000 and $80,000 worth of equity. And I said, okay. And I didn't know any better, so I just started looking for it. And I found something with what I thought was probably about $50,000 worth of equity. And I sent it to him. And he's like, no, this is only about 50,000. I want between 70 and 80. And, I was trying to figure out what his motivation was to use me, or I was trying to figure out what my motivation would be to use him, because I said, wait a second. So you want me to find a deal with $80,000 on the table and then trade that to you for a few $1,000s? I'm confused, right? Why don't I just go hand it to my parents, or, an investor that I can have a bigger stake in it? You know what I'm saying?
Well, eventually that's my goal. Eventually I want to be somebody that has the cash, but right now I just don't have that, because I have to fill up my money bucket again.
Okay.
And I want to be that person that, I want to have $50,000 sitting in the bank and a hard money loan if I need it in the wings. So if I come across something that's an amazing deal, that I can buy it put a substantial amount of money in it and turn around and make 10 times that. But you got to start someplace. So,
Mhm.
but
Gotcha.
the hard thing is learning the business, because there's lots of pitfalls and there's lots and lots of shysters out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Cool. What else are we experiencing? How else can I be of assistance to you guys right now? What else are you experiencing out there?
Lack of time.
Okay. So
I have to work more now and I'm exhausted, but I still don't have time to do all the things that I need to do.
okay, I'm going to attack that from the other end, which is one of the exercises that I learned a long time ago is I carried like a little notepad by me. I think this will be really, really helpful for you guys to maybe try for a couple of days. And every 15 minutes, I had a little buzzer, a little watch alarm or something. And when the thing buzzed, I had to write down what I had been doing the last 15 minutes, right? If it was making phone calls, if it was fooling around on the some stupid website, if it was going to the bathroom, if it was eating, whatever it was, I had to write down what I had been up to the last 15 minutes. And so every day, if I'm gonna, let's say, work an 8-hour workday, that is 32 different times that I have to write down what I'm doing. If you do that for a couple of days in a row, you're going to see some trend, right? You're going to see how much time you spend checking email, or how much time you spend fooling around on Facebook, or how much time you spend sleeping or something, right? Watching TV. And that's where the time is going. So whenever somebody tells me that they're running out of time, I think the first place we should look is, where are we wasting time, right? What can we eliminate from our world? What can we start to say no to? And then once we have eliminated as much as we possibly can, then we have to start looking to say, well, is Jan spending time working on things that really aren't her job? Right? Because Jan's got a $200 to $300 an hour job of helping buyers buy and sellers sell. And the second she starts doing $15 an hour clerical work, she is losing a ton of opportunity, which is preventing her from doing the $200 to $300 an hour work. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So
and that's a great idea, about timing your time.
yeah, I mean, you are. You may find that my hunch is that you'll be surprised at how you spend your time. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not saying that you are extra prone to wasting time or something like that. I'm telling you that all of us are prone to wasting time, all of us. And once you examine how you're spending your time and where you could create more efficiencies or let somebody else do the work, right? Then you will be able to spend more and more time on your highest dollar producing activities, which in this world are lead generating and following up and showing homes and booking appointments and negotiating and getting referrals, right? And there's just, I would say, I mean, I haven't done a ton of work with investors, I don't want to go back on that diatribe, but it feels like there's just so much wasted time, and you're like the lowest guy on the totem pole.
There is. And so as we spoke, I am trying to divide my time for higher paying jobs and keeping food on the table with
Right.
my lower paying jobs. So, I'm trying to get more efficient with my time, because now I'm having to split my time.
Yeah. One thing that I kind of got that was one investment story that I told you a few minutes ago. And I had another one where this is back when the foreclosures were everywhere. And I had this guy that called me and he's like, all right, I want you to find me, great deals, whatever. And I asked him kind of what he had in mind. And he says, here's what I have in mind. We're going to write 25 offers a day or 25 offers a week. And one of them is going to say yes. And these are all like $80,000 properties. And
Right.
I'm like, nah, I don't think I want to do that.
Well,
And I kind of got,
those are the type of investors that I don't want to work with, and I don't have time for them.
good. Okay. What else? Are there any unique objections that you're hearing for the first time around COVID? Anything you've had trouble handling?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Have you guys, we got like half an hour here. I think we got enough time to do this. We only have 4 people on the call.
Oh,
Do you
I'm
guys
sorry.
know your, what I would call big rocks? Have we all gone through a economic model enough where you know kind of, I have to do this every day or I have to do this every week? Have we gotten to that point yet?
No, but I did do, and you'll be very proud of me. While I was supposed to be in a CE class listening, I did my May 411.
Okay, go ahead and send it to me and let me take a look at it, okay?
Okay.
I got I have edited our sheet here, our MREA2 business models. And the last thing that I'm gonna do is what I call the big rocks. And so whenever you fill this thing out, it's gonna automatically populate what you need to be doing on a daily, like what your standards ought to be. So for example, Alicia, we went over that. We pretty much finished that the other day, right?
Yeah, we finished mine already. I'm revamping my GPS and 411,
Okay, so
as well as the numbers that we talked about there.
so tell the group what the final big rocks were.
24, and then I don't have it up, so I'd have to back into it.
Okay.
But it was 24 transactions, and most of mine are listing versus sellers. It was what I found was that it's very eye-opening to know what I need to do, because I think it was like 48 people, 20 people a day, that type of contact. But honestly, Bill, I'm just, my brain is just so fried right now, so I'm listening, but
Yeah, I hear you.
I know, because we've been on
I'm
this call.
I feel so bad. I'm trying to stay focused. I really am, but I'm just.
I know. I'm going to actually have to get off in a minute earlier than I anticipated because I have an appointment with the client at 4:30 that
And I'm
so
here.
I'm probably about to prepare for that call. So I'm just coming out at 3 hours CE class. I got to get back. I got to get back to it. So I'm gonna say bye, but I'll talk to you on Monday, and
Yep, I got you.
go from there. Okay.
Wonderful.
All
Have a
right.
good weekend.
All right. Thanks. You all too. All right. Bye bye.
I think that's it. Bye. I'm here.
I take no offense. I'm exhausted too.
Okay, I just am. I'm just like I'm here because I physically want to be here, and I know I'm getting something of value from it, but
Okay.
mentally I'm drained.
Got it. Why don't we do, Martha, if you have a couple minutes and you're interested, I can kind of work through this with you a little bit. So our 15 minutes will be most helpful. And I think once you guys, if you go onto the Google Drive now and you download this document called MREA2 Business Models, and you pull it off, all the formulas will stick, and you can play around with it a little bit yourself. But after I know a couple of answers to a couple questions, I can kind of help you understand what the big rocks are, and that'll help you build out your plan. And Jan, I suspect, probably y'all's numbers are not going to be all that far apart.
How do I access that drive?
So there is a link that I have been putting in the weekly emails. I can send it to you.
Okay, that's great. Because I accessed it and I downloaded the documents, but I can't get back to it. So I haven't been able to find it.
Martha, have you looked for it before?
You sent it to me and I was able to pull it up, but it's so hidden in all the emails. If you could resend it, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
So Bill, I have the economical one, but I don't have the MREA one. Are they two different ones? Because we talked about the MREA one. I mean, we talked about the economical one.
The economic model that that we probably worked out together is
Yeah.
About 90% of the economic model tab in the MREA. The
Okay.
biggest difference is that I added two little things. One is a formula that you can kind of redo the numbers based on if you're trying to do it over a shortened amount of time. And the other piece is if you average less than 3% and you want to factor that in.
Can you back into that by your year-end goal versus your monthly goal or your week, number of
Yeah, so
listings?
that's basically what it is. So
So just another question. The economic model that I have is just the economic model that I have. So the MREA, is that a separate Excel spreadsheet? Because the only thing that's showing up is my economic model.
that's correct.
Okay.
There's a tab on the MREA sheet that is
No.
basically the first thing we did.
Did you send that link, Bill?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got distracted. Give me one second.
Okay.
I'm searching for it.
So Bill has squirrels too.
Oh my gosh, how long have you known me?
I'm having trouble. I think I'm gonna have to go get some ADD medicine myself.
No, for sure. I am. That is one of my biggest issues. There's no question about it.
Yeah, because I think I might have downloaded mine incorrectly then, because it doesn't have any other tabs at the bottom. It's just showing the economic model.
That didn't work. Hang on.
Yeah, so I might have downloaded it incorrectly. I'm gonna get out of this one.
Wait, why isn't that working? All right, one more second. Copy link address. Okay, go ahead and click on that link in the chat.
Oh, in the chat.
Okay, hold on.
Bill, you're killing me.
Where do you want it? Email?
Yes, please.
I am.
You have to remember.
Okay. So then that's when it says the MREA.
All right, there you go. So that will take you to a constantly evolving Google Drive that is private for PC people.
So can you make this on can you add this on your desktop? Can we add this on the desktop?
You should be able to, yeah. You can right click and I think there's something that says like
It says bookmark and save it.
or something like that. Or you could bookmark it.
I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't get it.
Oh, I just sent it. jalacardi@kw, right? I just responded to your email.
Huh.
Hang on. Let's let it. It wasn't even a minute ago. So you'll be able to get it and download it. I like your email signature, by the way.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Which part? I got it
The
now.
bottom part with the agent, #1 agent count, #1 closed listings, all that.
Yeah, I stole that from somebody.
Yeah, sure. All right, did it come through?
Okay, yeah. So what is it called now? Oh, MREA models.
MREA 2 models.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and download it from there, right? So that you can tweak it based on your numbers. Okay.
Bill, as I'm looking at the MREA 2 models, it's different. It's not the Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, mine's not either.
Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but it's not the Excel spreadsheet that we.
MREA 2 business models.
Yeah.
Within the just
Well,
PT.
it says MREA 2 model systems.
Oh, that's something different. Keep looking.
Okay, so let's go back.
Sorry. It's a little below, it's below all the files.
Okay.
I mean, MREA 2 business model.
Oh, okay, I got it. I got it.
All right, there we go. Thank you.
Mhm. The first thing you pointed out is also pretty cool. Some pretty cool graphics you might want to look at some point. Okay, MREA2 business models. Does everyone see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So download a copy of that and put that onto your desktop. And then you can tweak the numbers according to the way you want it. Now, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and then you guys I'll walk you through how to do it, and then what it comes to, okay?
Mhm.
All right, can everyone see what I did here?
Hold on, I'm trying to get out of this now. Okay. Okay. It's a blank spreadsheet, right? That's
Oh,
what
yeah,
we're
well,
somewhat says big
here we go.
rocks on the bottom. Okay, there we go.
Okay. So this is the economic model. This is essentially what we did together, Alicia, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's just two extra things that I put on here. So what we want to do is we want to start by putting in the number of transactions that we want to have, okay? And we can tweak some of the numbers in a second to get to the income. But this whole spreadsheet is set up by unit number rather than income. So first person, who wants to say the unit number they want? Let's do Martha, actually.
Okay. Transactions, is that for the year or for the rest of the year?
Let's do it for the year.
For an entire year, let's say I had 15.
15.
Yeah, let's say 15.
Okay. What percentage of your business is going to come from sellers? Can everyone see where I'm making changes? Okay, so
Sellers would be, let's say eight listings.
so like 55% or so would be.
Yeah.
So 55% of her business would come from sellers, and therefore you can see here that this is this formula is the difference between 100% and that number. So it automatically pre-populates. So all we're doing is going to the yellow blocks and making those changes. Everything else will take care of itself.
Okay.
Okay. So seller average commission, 3% or something different?
3%.
Buyer average side commission, 3% or something different?
3%.
Okay. Average sales price for a seller.
300.
And average sales price for a buyer.
Let's go 250 on that.
250. All right. Everyone see where I did that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you do all that, you'll be just a hair shy of $125,000. When you see that number, do you want to sell more than 15 transactions, or is that more money than you care to make?
My first year, that would be good.
Okay, cool. So next questions. Now we're going to start dealing with some conversion stuff, okay? Now, these are over here. When you go on an appointment, there's a few different things that have to happen between going on an appointment and having a closing. Here's the first ratio I'm going to ask you about. We'll start with sellers. You sit in front of a ready, willing, and able seller who presumably you have pre-qualified and asked a ton of questions to, and you have determined that investing an hour or so with them is a smart move. What percentage of those people will then agree to work with you exclusively?
90%.
90%. Okay. For the record, I think that's a little high, but let's go with it. Okay.
I'm that good.
You are that good. You're better than average.
Yes, you are, Martha.
All right. Buyers, same question.
Buyers, I would say about 85%.
About 85%. Okay. Now, this is just a tiny bit of a sidebar, but generally when I hear somebody say those high percentages and have a unit number, let's say less than 20 or so, what I generally find is they have a very high percentage of their business coming from Sphere and referrals from Sphere. So if somebody, for example, wanted to have 60 units, 50 units, or 100 units, they almost certainly do not have a database big enough to support that through their Sphere alone, meaning they're going to have to talk to some strangers, meaning their conversion rates will probably be a little lower. right? If you're converting at 90%, you probably got a lot of people that are ready to sign the paperwork without an appointment, right? It's a lot of warm relationships. So as you grow your business more and more, and you're tripling, quadrupling the number of units you're doing, you're probably going to be introducing, your ratios may fall a little bit because you're probably going to end up speaking to more strangers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Now, let's move on to the next conversion. So now we've taken some listings. What percentage of the listings, seller listings, after that we take, do we end up putting under contract?
A number or a percentage?
Percentage.
I would say about, gosh, I would hope. In this market, I would say 90%.
90% of the listings you take, you'll get a contract on.
Yes.
You are
If I
good.
price it right.
And then once the deal is under contract, what percentage of those ultimately close?
We're gonna have a little fallout. 85.
85. Okay. All right, everyone see what I did there?
I think a 90.
The first number is 90. That's percentage to take to under contract. Second percentage is under contract to close.
Okay.
You multiply the two of those together, and that's the percentage from take to close.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, is that a good percentage? I mean,
I
anything.
think that's higher than normal.
Okay. What is normal about?
MREA actually says it's 75% from take to close, which is right around where you are. I think that number is high in today's market.
Oh, okay.
However, this is that's why we track everything. Because we're trying to establish, do we tend to speak to a lot of people per hour when we're generating leads, or do we tend to have lower efficiency when we're talking to prospects? That's one question. The next question is, how are we doing on our listings? Are we presenting to enough people? Number one, are enough people of those people agreeing to work with us? Are we pricing them correctly? Are we dealing with objections properly? Are we bulletproofing the transaction, right? So like, what fallout are we allowing to happen, and where in the process is it happening? So that we can say, hey, Bill, I was studying my numbers. You probably saw this too. I suck at keeping the deals together. Can you help me? Right? And then we don't have to spend a ton of time talking about objection handlers. We need to spend time on setting expectations and negotiating, right? Right. Same questions with buyers. Percentage of buyers listings that you take and then you get them under contract. What percentage is that?
Okay, so buyers that I put under contract.
No. From the time you get a buyer agency agreement, what percentage of those people end up going under contract with the property?
Oh, a lot. I would say 85%.
85%? Okay. And once you got them under contract, what percentage of those do you sit the closing table with?
Again, I'm always thinking high, 87% or 90%.
90%. Okay, cool.
I mean, is that unrealistic, you think?
Not if you're working with a lot of, number one, not if you're working with a lot of warmer people. And also the stronger your team is, right? The better the inspector is, the better the closing attorney is, the better the lender is, how tight your systems are. If all of that is high level, I don't think you're out of line at all. Okay, next. The only other variable that I put on here is months remaining. So months remaining to complete the plan. This would essentially be what your tasks are if you've got 12 months to do it. If, for example, we just want to let April go and then work for the remainder of the 8 months, then you can see that you're ultimately going to need to do more listings. So do you see how those changed?
Yeah.
Did it change?
Did it change? It's still.
It changed and then changed back for some reason. Yeah, there you go.
Listings sold.
Because now you have 1.3 listings a month.
Oh yeah.
It shows in the listing taken.
Because that doesn't actually change. Look at appointments. Look over here, right? So if we're going to do this plan over 12 months, we have to take a 0.9 listings a month. If we're going to do this plan over 8 months, we have to, it's a little bit more per month. See that?
How do you get a 0.3? Like, would I just round it up to like 2?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just say this is our annual plan. We'll put this back to 12 months. Okay. So here's our big rocks. We need 12 listing appointments per year and 10.4 buyer appointments per year. So just call that 11. Okay. Assuming you converted these ratios. So that's 1 appointment for a seller and 1 appointment for a buyer per month. As long as you convert with these ratios, then you will have that number of transactions. And as long as the sales prices are what you expect them to be, you'll make that type of income. Make sense? So one of my big rocks would be, I absolutely have to go on 2 appointments a month. And ideally, there would be 1 seller, 1 unique seller, and 1 unique buyer. Make sense? So I'm going to go on 12 appointments, and I'm going to take 11 of them, right? And I'm going to sell between 8 and 9 of them. Make sense?
At a price point of 300,000 or more.
Exactly. Each time I get paid, I'm going to make 9 grand. That'll be my GCI for the year. That'll be my GCI from sellers for the GCI from sellers for the year, GCI from sellers per month. And then we've got our average commission, our seller volume, buyer volume, total volume, average sales price, etc. And the average buyer and seller commission all together. And that's what we've made for the year. Make sense?
That's gross. Okay.
So I would say my big rocks are, I really need to go on 2 appointments and have 2 closings per month. And obviously if I have 2 closings per month, I'll be at 24 rather than 15 because we're rounding up. Okay. See what I'm talking about? But our conversion ratios are so high, it's almost going to get eaten up in the rounding. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is move on to this listings needed contacts. So this is just a bit of a summary over here from the first page. We just pulled over some numbers, your volume goal, your listings needed, or I'm sorry, annual listings taken, annual listings that go under contract, annual listings that sell. This 39 days, that's what you can adjust. That 39 is just from all across Atlanta and all price ranges. Average days on the market is 39. Okay, if you happen to be higher or lower than that, then that's one thing I would edit. That's why it's in yellow. Okay. This right here is how many times that inventory will turn over. And this is telling me, and you can, kind of study how this works theoretically on your own, but this is telling me that in order for your business to survive, you ought to carry 2 active listings at all times. Okay. Now, sellers, we're going to try to figure out, well, how many people do we have to talk to each day in order to book the appointments that our plan requires, right? One is going to be based on essentially who you're calling, right? And the industry average, as I understand it, from calling, hot referrals to sign calls, to circle prospecting, to FSBOs, expireds, all of that. If you take an average of all of that, you're looking at about 20 contacts per appointment. Okay, that's down here. That's not worked into the formula per se. So if you think I'm way off, you need to adjust the formula. And I can show you how to do that if necessary. Okay, but this is telling me you need 3 conversations with a seller every day, working 20 days per month, 20 working days per month. And the average for contacts for buyers to get 1 appointment is 50. So according to that, you need to have 8 conversations with buyers a day. So summarize, you need 2 active listings at all times. That'll give you enough bait to create the appointments and to bring new prospects into your organization. And you should have 11 conversations per day with people. So in this example, I would say, what are my Actually, let's go one more step and then I'll do the big rocks. Here's the lead generation model. It's a little messy here, I understand. Let's just focus on this purple column here. So how many METs are in your database right now? METs would be people that you've had a two-way exchange with. Everyone with me?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure what just happened. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay.
Can't see your screen though.
Yeah, I'm pulling that back up.
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Hang on one sec. Hang on, let me pull up that doc again. Okay. So Martha, my next question is, how many people in your database would you consider METs? METs would be people that you've had a two-way exchange with, so not like a random internet lead you can never get back in touch with. Maybe past clients, friends, neighbors, sphere of influence. How many people do you think are in your database?
I don't have that much, but what I do have is solid. It's just a matter of time. So I only have like 15. But I have, like I said before, I have 2 that I'm working with now, and then probably 3 in the next month.
I'm talking about in your entire database that you would market to and past clients.
Okay. Yeah, I have a total of about 30. Like
30.
I said, I don't have that much.
Okay.
But what I do have, like the 15 are they're warm leads already.
All right, cool. So we got some work to do.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Number 1 is, according to MREA2, they say that for every 10 people in your database, you should have 1 closing per year. About half of that's going to come from the actual people in your database, and about half of that will come from referrals from those people. Okay. So meaning if I want to sell 15 units to my database, right, then I need 150 people in my database. See that?
Yes.
And that's going to pre-calculate based on what I've done on the previous pages. Okay. Now, currently in your database right now, that's where you would make the edit. It says you have 30. Now, I broke this up into kind of 2 stages. One is, how do we hustle and get as many people as necessary, what our goal database size is, within 2 months during the ramp up period. Then I also said, how do we hang on. Number of months to add in. Weeks to add in 12. That should be 10. Hang on. Okay. Then the next question was, how many people do we want for the year to add to our database? And I think a fair number is 500. Okay. You work 250 of the 360 days, 2 people a day. Anyone think that's crazy talk? Cool.
No, that seems fine. Question for you. Can you just explain how you, I remember reading somewhere in the MREA book, the met versus haven't met.
Yeah, so they're kind of changing the language a little bit to be a contact would be similar to a not met. That is essentially somebody that may have, it's only been a one-way communication essentially.
Okay.
So an example of that would be somebody that inquired on a listing and you tried to chase them down and they never responded.
Okay.
Or somebody that's in a farm where you don't have a personal relationship with them, but it's somebody that you're trying to make. If you go back and remember from earlier in the shift book, where you're making offerings.
Offers,
right?
yeah.
You're dripping on them, and the hope is that they'll take the bait. And the second they take the bait, they may become a contact.
Got it. Okay.
In other words, they may become a met. Right, where you actually have you've had an exchange, right? You know something about the person, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, I would call met essentially a nurture. A nurture is somebody that you have name, email, telephone number. They either own a property or they have a desire to own one, right? which is pretty much anybody, and who doesn't have a unbreakable allegiance to a real estate agent.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, that helps a lot. I remember reading it, but I needed some more clarification. So thank you.
Now, if they say, "Hey, my boyfriend's a realtor," say, "Great. Just let me know if there's anything I can do to help you," and I'd keep dripping on them because, more than half the marriages don't work. What percentage of boyfriends don't work? Right? So, I mean, I'm just going to drip on them until they tell me to leave them alone or until I can get confirmation they're dead. Right? I'm talking about like death announcement. Like, I want to see the death certificate. Then I'll pull you out of my database. Until then, you're going to get dripped on.
Exactly.
Okay?
Okay.
So 500 people per year that we're going to add to the database. Okay. So we're going to add 120 of them in the first 2 months. And we're going to have to do 15 per week to do that. Total number to add per week. So we're actually going to be a little more than this because we're ramping up, right? Then after that 2-month period, we're going to add 380 the rest of the year, which is 10 more months. And then we're going to add, so that's 38 per month, 10 per week. So now you can back off a tiny bit. And after the ramp up period, you added 380 for a total of 500. So you started off the database the year at 30, you'll end at 530. Does that make sense? Then you've got a database that if you communicate with them properly and systematically, then you could and should get yourself 53 deals out of it. That's why it's so critical to always be thinking, how can I get into relationship with more people? Make sense? Okay, so what do we know about a person like this? What are the biggest rocks for a person like this? Okay, so here would be my biggest rock. So Martha, if you can, write these down. Okay, I'm just going to run a couple things out loud for you, okay?
Okay.
12 listing appointments per year. 11 buyer appointments per year. Okay, 11 listings taken per year. 9 buyer listings taken per year. 9 sellers closed. 7 buyers closed.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
For the year. At all times, I need to carry 2 listings. And every single day I work, which according to this would be 20 days out of the year. 20 days out of the month. Okay, so you got your 2 weekends plus an extra day, I think, right? You just need to speak to 11 people and offer your assistance or make your pitch and that kind of thing. Okay.
Okay.
So that's a total of 23 appointments over 12 months. And if you do all that, the world will pay you $125,000 for that. Isn't that kind of cool?
Well, I think what's cool too is when you're working with the sellers, if they're buying a house, because that's 2 right off the bat. And
right.
2 of mine
so
are actually potentially that. So that's what I'm
that's what the MRA would tell you, that a properly marketed listing should get you 2 buyers, right? But they may be one of them, and then you'd probably end up with one other one through your marketing.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Now, one last thing is I need to add, let's just say 15 people per week to my database. And it's that simple. So now everything you do revolves around making sure that happens. Make sense? So the main things that I would be focused on if I was you, I'll make it even simpler, are every month I have to go on 2 appointments. And every month, rounded up, I really need to take 2 listings. If you took like 2 some months and 1 some months, you'd probably be fine. Okay. And every month, you ought to have 1 closing with an extra one here and there. Okay. The only way you're going to improve the quantity of money you make is if you sell higher priced homes to buyers and sellers. And the only way you get an opportunity to go on fewer appointments is if you convert at a higher clip and you're already pretty high. So the standards for your business are that you go on 2 appointments a month. You take 2 pieces of business a month. You have 1 closing a month. You talk to 11 people a day, and you always carry 2 listings. Anytime you're off track for that, something's going to happen. Either you are not going to hit your goal, right? Well, you're not going to hit your goal. And therefore, you have to determine, am I going to change my goal to make myself feel good? Or am I going to change my activities so I can add more people to my database and book more appointments? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So those are the big rocks. So when we talk about the GPS, for example, we would say, okay, the one goal at the top of the GPS would be, I'm going to close 15 units. Okay. And then the three priorities would be, where are all these contacts going to come from? Right. So maybe I have one of my main focuses is going to be command ads. One of my main focuses is going to be open houses. And one of my main focuses is going to be calling expireds. And what are the strategies that I'm going to use for each of those so that there is absolutely no way that these appointments aren't getting booked? Because the appointments are the lead domino. If I can get the appointments, everything else will fall into place because I know how to present and I know how to script them and I know how to deal with objections and I know how to organize a real estate transaction and check everything off, right? So, and then the 411, same thing. You're going to take all these commitments that you've made, all these strategies that you're going to employ so that you end up with that number of appointments. And you're going to have to determine, well, how much time is that going to take me? And when am I going to do it? So if you pull out your 411, you can see my 411 right here. I send it to you guys every week. Okay. Jane, you may have noticed that I want to do a wholesale flip. So if you can find a way to find me a little deal and get paid, I'd love to work with you. You can be my buyer's agent. Okay. Anyone else want to be my buyer's agent?
I do.
Oh, you gotta give me a chance to get off mute, dude.
I was like, is she there?
Keeping it interesting, guys.
We'll have to have a buyer's consultation, Bill.
You better believe it. I'm going to give you some real tips.
Great.
Okay. So this is going to say 24 appointments per year, 2 appointments per month. And then down here for the first week, I'm going to try to get me my 2 appointments in the first week so I can relax a little bit. And then if I get one, then I just got to get 1 for the rest of the month. Or if I don't get 1, I got to move that along and now I got to get 2 and I got less amount of time to do it. So this is showing you what your priorities are. So you see how quickly I was able to get it? Because it's sitting right here in front of me. Because if every time I come into my office, I got to know what my priorities are. Because if I don't know what my priorities are, which by the way are all the activities necessary to hit these goals, super simplified in terms of just booking appointments basically. If I don't know what I'm supposed to do every day, then I'm going to go to my text messages and my email and my voicemail or Facebook to find out what everyone else wants me to do. But that is not living a purposeful life, and that's not running a purposeful business. That's running an entrepreneurial life and an entrepreneurial business. And therefore, you can't predict hardly anything. You can predict with just about 100% certainty that if you go on enough appointments, you will make this kind of money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if there's anything that is slipping, it's most likely happening because you're either speaking to the wrong person, you're saying the wrong stuff, or you don't know the market well enough to advise people. Now, I will make a confession, Martha. You said something at the beginning of the call about Gillsville. I have lived in Atlanta my entire life, just about, and I have never even heard of it.
It's up 85 because I live in Flowery Branch.
I looked it up.
So if you go, yeah, if you go up 85, Brazelton has become overpopulated. Houston's right above that. Jefferson is very reasonably priced homes. And then Gillsville and Murraysville, it's kind of people are moving out like they are everywhere else. So that Jackson County and North Hall is, I mean, you can get a $200,000 house and taxes are lowered too up there. So schools are kind of so-so, but that's where this guy, $200,000 house, I'll find him a house up there.
Yeah. Well, no one's going to fool me again, because if somebody says, hey, I want a home in Gillsville, I'm like, you mean Gainesville? They're like, no, you dumbass. I mean Gillsville. Well, no one's going to fool me again. I just looked it up.
There you go. You learned something on Friday afternoon.
There you go. So, you know, we always going to be learning. Make sense? All right. So I'm going to make this a little prettier with the big rock. So if you want to re-download this, like at the end of the weekend, I'll probably be done with it. Or you can just create a shortcut to it. But if you create a shortcut to it, every time I edit it, it'll be messed up. Was this helpful, guys?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Definitely.
Martha, do you feel like you have a better grip on what you ought to be doing every day?
Yes. My challenge is how do I ramp up my leads? I mean, I've gone to Vulcan and I've gone to the expired. I mean, can you think of any other, I mean, should I start paying for my leads, or like I said, the ones I have, the 30 that I have are just, you know, brought over warm leads, but how can I go out there and get that type of volume of leads?
So that is everything from social media, that is calling the people you know and asking how they're doing, and if appropriate, reminding them that you're in real estate and see if there's anyone that they know that has any questions or has a need to buy something or sell something. I mean, a lot of it is going to be organic. That's from going to get a listing and then telling every single person you know about it. And then everyone that inquires, you get their contact information, and now there's somebody in your database who you might be able to support. That might go from meeting neighbors. That might mean go and introduce yourself to local vendors that might like to have their business supported by you and you support their business, right? I mean, it's just, a lot of it is organic. I mean, the simple way to do it is just to go buy some leads from Zillow or something, but we teach you to, well, you're an independent contractor, you can do whatever you want, but my recommendation is to build it organically.
Okay. Now, what can I do as far as, because I don't have, I'm working on a couple listings now, but since I don't have any listings, can I use, I can market other people's listings, which I've already done for a lake house. I mean, is that acceptable? I mean, do people do that a lot? I mean,
yeah, people do that a lot. You want to make sure you get permission,
right.
but more often than not, they wouldn't have an issue with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, should I talk to them also about doing like a quote open house or doing some kind of virtual something?
Sure.
Using their house?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That'll give me practice too.
You could do like a Keller Mortgage type announcement. You could do a little one sheet on the fact that virtual showings and virtual tours and virtual open houses are available, virtual buyer consultations. You could host an event with like another business professional. Let's say you wanted to connect with your CPA or something, and you guys like co-hosted a Zoom and just invited all the people you know and all the people they know, and you were on there being the real estate agent of choice, right? And you're kind of going through some of the, you know, statistics in the marketplace. Okay, here's the activity in the last 7 days. Here's the activity in the last 3 days. You know, here's how we're accommodating closings now. Here's how we're accommodating showings now. Here's what an open house looks like at, you know, at the time of COVID-19. Right? If you have any question, here's what's going on in the mortgage world, right? You're just becoming the economist of choice.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you Monday.
See you Monday.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Have a great weekend, guys.
Hey, Bill.